Thanks everybody for being here today. I really appreciate it. As Steve said, he and I have been out working the district here this morning. It's been a lot of fun. I do need your help, that's for sure. But why I got involved is because of a lot of what Steve said. For 4 years here, I've sat here and watched what's been going on up there. It just matter and matter and matter. And then when they pulled that stunt with the $2 billion tax increase, the farm equipment repair tax, which, by the way, that did get repealed, as Steve said. But all the farmers that were affected by it did not get those taxes back. Okay, it did not go back retroactive. The business isn't good to get that either. And growing up in Red Wing Shoe was a big part of my family for a lot of my life. And to watch them stop the warehouse that they were getting ready to build. I mean, this is for economic growth in our district. This is one of our largest employers in the district. They're known worldwide as a quality product. And, you know, we lost those jobs. We lost that revenue stream. For what? Why? Because the Democrats can't get enough money. They think our money is their monopoly money to play with whatever they want to do with it. And we've got to stop that. That's what broke my back with that. I just said, our farmers, our businesses, and we cannot continue to go on this path. Eventually, with socialism, you eventually run out of other people's money, and then what do you have? Chaos and anarchy. Okay? As Steve said, the little kids, the little 3, 4 footers, that's why I'm doing this. Okay? I've got nieces and nephews. I'm probably going to have grandkids here in the near future, the next 4 or 5 years or whatever. But you know, my concern is for them. I mean, what's the direction our country's going? Where's our state going? As Steve said, we've gone so radical left, and you know, I feel like I'm in a hybrid of the 1960s right now with all the peace lovers and you know everything else going on there. And where's the family values? Where is that? Okay, we're missing that. Where's the work ethic? You know, we've trained these people for so long that it's much better to live off the government than it is to go out and earn it and appreciate what they earn. I learned at a young age to do that. Dad and Mom weren't going to give us anything. And they said, you got to earn it. You got to work for it. So that's why I'm involved. That's why I decided to run for state senate. I couldn't sit back and watch a senator for our district that was not there for us. Okay? Zip rail. Okay? Why do we need to have continuing discussions on this? They're not going to listen to us anyways. Why are we going to bring the Met Council in? Why are we going to bring in all these other counties, Olmsted County? Those two are talking, but they're keeping Goodhue County out of the mix in the discussions. That's why I'm against zip rail. I'm against it because we need to have a voice in that, and we're not being given that opportunity. It's not that I'm against infrastructure. You know, we need to build our infrastructure in the state. We need to maintain it. We need to make it so that we can have the commerce move back and forth within the state, so that we can have a vibrant economy here. Okay. But when you start talking about eminent domain, when you talk about getting the government involved to help pay for this private venture, you know, there's a big thing out there now. The liberals, they like to talk about the P3 stuff out there. Public-private partnerships. Our state senator has a small business. P3 strategies. Figure it out. Okay? He loves broadband. I'm all for broadband. We need to make sure that our farmers and our folks in the rural areas have access to it, and we have the ability for our schools in those areas to train our kids, teach our kids, and so that they're not left behind either. But the bottom line is, we got to stop what they're doing up there, the wasteful spending. The Senate Luxury Office building for $90 million. It's going to cost us this year, I saw $6.5 million this year just to maintain it. And that, you figure, let's say the building's going to last 20 years, so it's $150 million. Okay? That we don't need to be spending. If we renovated the Capitol properly and made it for the people's work, for the people, instead of making a museum out of it, we would have a real good, efficient building working for both the legislatures and the governorship. Okay, MNsure, I'm on knocking doors. That's the number one. The Democrats took the world-class healthcare system in our state and tore it, just dismantled it, fundamentally transformed it to crud, using Obama's words. Okay? We need to fix it. We spent over $400 million on that right now. And what have we gotten in return? Okay? We still have people that can't afford their insurance. People that are trying to help out can't afford the insurance. I'm knocking on doors. I had a lady the other day, family of 5. We're taking a chance. We're going to pay the penalty. And they've got 3-4 footers in their house. Can't tell me that they don't get sick being in the schools or anything else, or they're playing sports or running around and they get hurt and need to go there to get medical care. That's just wrong. And we need to repeal MNsure. The other thing is, when you look at it, well, why was MNsure put in place? Because the federal government dangled the carrot and said, if you build this, you're going to get a subsidy. What did the Supreme Court say about that, Jason?
So it didn't matter.
Didn't matter. So here we are. We put $400 million and we're going to continue to pour money in it if we don't start plugging these holes. And we've got to stop that. The zip rail. I'm a project manager. Every day I get hit by my bosses. What's your risk mitigation strategy? What are you doing to make sure that the company's not going to take undue risk and liability and additional expenses that we're going to have to pass on to our ratepayers? Okay? I'm looking at it with the same glasses that I wear at work. Risk mitigation. That's why I'm all for it. No government money, beg, borrow, steal, whatever they got to do for this project. There's no eminent domain. You buy the property from willing sellers at fair value. And lastly, if this thing fails, this is the risk mitigation part. You have a fully vetted funded decommissioning fund, just like we have for every one of our nuclear plants in this country. By law, those nuclear plants are required to have a decommissioning fund. We need to make sure that that has it, so if this thing fails, we don't do like we did back in 2008, 2009 and said, it's too big to fail, we got to bail these out. We got the money right there, we take it back, we tear it down, and we go back to the land that it was, and then we sell the land to whoever wants to buy it. Okay? That's why I'm doing it. I'm not against infrastructure, I'm not against transportation. I'm against putting a liability out there, a risk on us, the taxpayers, that we can't afford. Not one of these things that's worked anywhere in the country yet. California's building one right now. Guess where they started at? A little over $16 billion for the project. Where are they at now? Over $68 billion. Projected to go over $100 billion. Okay? I'm a project manager. I can tell you where they're at with this high-speed rail, zip rail, is, it's just, it's like the unicorns and rainbows. It'd be just lucky on a train. High-speed train. Woo! And we think, well, let me go here. $4.2 million. That's what they're doing. But I can guarantee you, by the time they get done, if this thing actually does become a reality, it's going to be closer probably to $30 billion, if not more. You can't tell that in our climate that you can build an elevated zip rail system for $4.2 billion and 79 miles long. Plus the stations that they're going to have to build at the 4 locations. And if it's going to haul high-value freight, that's going to have to be taken into consideration too when they build these frames and structures for it. So that's where I'm at with it. My family, my mom and dad, community service has been what our family's all about. We help out the community. We try to make it the best we possibly can. That's why I'm getting involved, because I want to see our district, I want to see our state be the state that people want to move to. They want to raise their families here. The kids want to stay here. And when folks retire, they want to stay here. That's the other thing. I'm knocking on doors and I'm getting to the retirees and they're like, we're moving out. We're heading to Texas. We're going to Florida. We're going to Arizona. Or we're going to South Carolina. I can't tell you how many of those I've had tell me that. And it's sad to see people that want to stay here, want to live here, have to do that because they can't afford to stay here. A couple of the couples that I talked to sold their businesses because they said we can't afford to stay here anymore, and we're just gonna head south. Okay? Back to the Minshire real quick. Another thing I'm hearing from small business owners, next month's gonna be a very big decision for them, whether they even stay in business, for one, and the other is whether they even have healthcare insurance for their employees, because they're just at that point that they can't afford to take on any more liability with that. I'm going to end with the last part here. Steve didn't touch on it, and I don't know if Jason will or not, but the other thing that I'm concerned about is for the jobs for our people in the district, especially people that work in the retail areas, work in the restaurants, Treasure Island Casino, for example. The Democrats want to have it where the businesses have to, every 30 hours of work, you have to pay an hour of PTO for the worker. Okay? That's one. The other thing they want to do is put a legislation in place that says, Jen, you just called in sick. Nora, can you come in? Well, guess what? Both of you get paid, because Nora gets paid for an inconvenience because her schedule changed within a certain time period of her work. Okay? I'm on call 24/7. I have that, I have a pager, you can call me on my phone anytime. I'm part of the emergency response organization at the power plant. I made that decision consciously when I signed up to work for them. I take that position very seriously. I have no problem being called into work. I want my employer to be successful. I want that job to be there every day. I just can't see how our businesses can take on something like that. It's an employer-employee relationship that they're getting involved in, and we can't let the government get their hands on that relationship, because they'll do just what they do with Minshire. They'll tear down our healthcare system. They'll tear this down as well, and we have to get that under control. And my opponent right now on his lip pieces, he's got that on there, that he's for that. So if you tell me that he's in supporting our district, I'd really like to see how he's supporting us, because he hasn't supported our businesses, he hasn't supported our jobs. I mean, it's just, I don't know what he's trying to do. But it's got to stop. And that's why I'm involved, that's why I'm here. Because I want to go up there, I want to be your voice, I want to be your public servant, to go up there, sit in the seat that you own in this district, not me, not the majority party, not anybody else. Senate District 21 residents own that seat. I have the privilege to sit in that seat, be the voice for these folks here, and I will take that very seriously, because that's the number one thing in my book, is to make sure that our district and our state is the best state it can possibly be, and the best place to live and work and raise our families and our grandkids in that. Now, it's sad to see grandparents leaving the state because they can't afford to stay here, and now they're losing out on time with their grandkids. You know, and my mom and dad are always asking, why are you not going south? Why don't you go, you know, be a snowbird? And my dad says, why do I want to go be with a bunch of old folks? I'd rather be over here watching my grandkids playing baseball or hockey or soccer or football, whatever, you know. And so that, you know, that's what's happened. It's actually detrimental to our family structure, having these regulations and taxes that are hurting our people and making people have to leave the state. We can't afford that anymore. So with that, I thank you so much for being here today. As Steve said, I do need help. Matt's got a war chest, and he's getting ready to unleash it. And I can say I'm very proud of the fact that about 95% of my contributions have been from folks like yourself. And that means a lot to me, because that's telling me that the people in the district understand what I'm here for, why I'm here, and they know that when I get up there, I will not forget why I'm there. So, thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to Jason, and if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me any questions. Doc?
Yeah, do you have any campaigns scheduled against Smith?
Well, on Monday this past week, we were down in Winona with the League of Women Voters, and then on Wednesday we were in Redmond with the League of Women Voters, And then October 6th, we've got the CCARL, Minnesota Farm Bureau, and Farmers Union.
Toastmasters.
And Toastmasters at the Cannon Falls High School at 7 p.m. So,
We got the VFW, we got the Veterans one coming up on the 26th or 28th
26th, I think it is,
of
yeah.
September.
It's a Monday, right?
It's
Yeah.
a Monday.
It's the 26th.
26th at 7 o'clock in Goodhue.
Yep, yeah, candidates, yep, 7 o'clock.
Has Smith been to all of them?
Yes, he's been to both of those. I don't know if as he said he's coming to the CCARL one.
Well, all these things you're
Not
talking
so
about, all these things you're talking, you gotta take it to him
Yep,
and make it, because he's getting by with it. But nobody challenging really.
yeah. And we need, that's why we need people at these events. We need to have our representatives from the Republican and conservatives at these events so that we can ask the questions too. I mean, because the one on Wednesday in Redmond was, it was all liberals and those are all the questions.
Climate change and things like that.
Climate change and what's your stance on broadband? Okay. So there was a lot of, it was all geared towards them.
If you need a timeline as to the shenanigans that he pulled last April, with his only bill that he ever introduced that had anything to do with zip rail, after he promised everybody he would die before he let us be dissected, I will be glad to give you that timeline, because that bill started out that it would take effect after they had construction plans. And so in my testimony, I said that it would be like having a funeral 6 weeks after you buried the guy, okay? So it was so bad, and we know somebody else up there wrote it. So there's just a number of things that we tried to do before we finally ended up telling you to kill it. So if you need that, so you're doing preparation for these here, I have that string of emails.
Yeah, that would be great if you could send that to me, because, yeah, we have to call him out on his, basically the waffles all the time and everything, so. Yeah, we need to ask him, why do you sponsor legislation and then go off and consult on it? Is that a conflict of interest? I don't know. I know as a certified project manager, I took an ethical oath to not do those kind of things. So, make sure I don't have a conflict of interest. And with this campaigning, when I win this seat and take it back for our district, that's going to change the way I can work out the Excel interview. So, but it is what it is. I mean, I'm willing to do that because this is so important that it needs to be done, and I'm willing to do that. I'm not doing this to make money, I can tell you that. Money has nothing to do with it. Ego has nothing to do with it. We got problems. I'm an engineer, project manager. I fix things every day. I take on issues all the time. Get the right people together, get the right data together, get the right solutions together, and we implement those solutions, and we make it a better, safer plant to work in, operate, and in the long term, it's going to actually save the ratepayers money.
Hey, Mike, can I help us? So those of you that have the ability to write letters to the editor over the next 6 weeks, Mike and I were talking, he's talking about ramping up with a strong letter to the editor campaign. Schmidt has repeatedly voted for the interests of the metro area before he has his own district, whether you're talking about Southwest Light Rail or Zip Rail or the huge tax increases and a variety of things. The radical Metro DFL Senate caucus, that's what he supported. The mantra is Metro Matt, and that has worked well, pointing out in other rural districts for House candidates in the last election. Several of them were defeated when they were called Metro J and other Metro type things, but we have to point those out over the next several weeks in order for that to culminate in a Metro Matt label that can be very successful in pointing out that he's for the metro area rather than his own district. So we need you guys to help the writer.
And with that, I'm not a fan of bonding bills, but that road and bridge bonding bill finally had funding in there for our smaller communities. Highway 61 was going to get it. We're going to get more money for rural roads, small small communities, 5,000 and less, are gonna get a really good chunk of money to go work on their roads and bridges. And by voting for a $2 billion Southwest Light Rail over our needs in the county and in the district, you know, that's uncalled for. You know, we need to have somebody up there that's going to be fighting for us in the district. And he can sit there at the League of Women Voters meeting and Mike correct me if I state this correct. You know, when that came up, he said, well, we have to have a comprehensive transportation bill. We have to take the needs of everybody in the state into consideration. Okay, so tell me how a 14-mile section of track on Southwest Light Rail at $144 million for our share, in order to get the federal money again, because we're going after federal money because it's just free money. None of us have anything to do with that free money. So it's $2 billion, like 1.8 or 1.9 is what they're estimating that to be, okay? So for 14 miles, let's just figure it out per mile. That's $124 million per mile, okay? Now, contrast that with a 4-lane highway, urban highway in the cities, $8 to $10 million per mile. So, do we spend that money so that we can have 14 miles of train? That, by the way, everybody says, and Matt says it too, all the Democrats, the governor said it, I'm sure you've heard it, that this is going to benefit everybody in the state. The folks in International Falls, the ones down here in Broda. I can't wait to see the grain trucks pull up to one of the train stations and pour into one of the rail cars. It would be great to run that up 14 miles of track. It makes no sense. Why are we not looking at the bus rapid transit system where we can have something that we can be flexible with? We can add buses, we can reduce buses, we can change the lanes around, we can do whatever, okay? Do we have to build something like a zip road? Really? Great, it can go 28 minutes. So what? Is it going to help all the businesses and farmers along Highway 52? I don't think so.
Well, when you're asking that, you can also ask why, if we don't have any money in our transportation budget, how is it that you keep carrying out perfectly good intersections, which now they're going to do down here in some road besides, to put in roundabouts? If you're short of money, leave the ones that are okay alone, and let's just fix what's broken instead of tearing out good stuff.
Well, that goes back to the discussion that would need to be more European.
Nora, you don't like recreational spending?
No, any more than I like recreational tillage, which I guess,
So, anyhow, that's just something to think about. And, I'm a guy that figures out solutions to problems. And I want to do that up at the state. So, thank you.